Hey, welcome back. This is Stud Muffin 1986, and today I'm going to be talking about not just modern tanks and Blitz, but the real details behind it. If these tanks were really in the game, not just a mod video or just some fancy show-off thing, but to really go into detail if these things were really into Blitz. And so I went through, I'd been watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of things. I really wanted to do research to understand how these modern tanks compare to the older tanks that we're so used to in Blitz. And I must say, I couldn't help but laugh when I was coming across so much of the research of what these tanks were capable of. Just their technology, their armor, their gun, what they're capable of. There is such a night and day difference between the tanks that we play in World of Tanks Blitz and modern tanks nowadays. Some of the things such as explosive reactive armor, that some of the shells don't even have a chance to penetrate if something in World of Tanks were to come across it. So just to give you some perspective, if you saw one of these tanks on the battlefield, just imagine something is going as fast as a Leopard with basically relative 500 plus millimeters of armor, something completely impenetrable, not even being able to aim, just willy-nilly in some general direction, pointing a cannon while it's flying around, pull the trigger, easily be able to penetrate a mouse, regardless if it was angled or trying to bounce a shot all the way across the map, and easily be able to kill the mouse in one shot. That is basically what the modern tanks are like. They're not even in the same class. There's no way to really even create a tier 11 class by having these types of tanks, because the tier 10 tanks would get so gypped. I mean, it would basically be like your tier 10 would basically be like playing a tier 1 versus a tier 10 tank. I mean, there's just no comparison. You can't put the two on the same battlefield. It's really almost laughable when you really get into the nitty-gritty aspects of how good these tanks are and just how deadly they are and why they use these tanks nowadays compared to what we're so used to seeing in Blitz. And so they have an entire guided missile system. And so I mean, if you were to implement these tanks in Blitz, it would be a completely different game. So here's a video just to give you some perspective, an example of what a tier 10 would be like coming against a M1 Abram. This is 100 mouse tanks against one Abram. I mean, that is just what makes this so funny, is no matter, just an Abram just sitting there, not even doing anything, just moving its turret, pointing it at different mouse tanks and just shooting and instantly killing a mouse tank with absolutely no problem due to its technology. So yeah, that just gives you some perspective. So even Wargaming came out with a video about a few years back talking about them working on modern tanks to put them in a game. But to be honest with you, obviously nobody has seen anything, and this is the reason why. Is just everything I went over. If you really understood these tanks, which I feel like I was just scratching the surface, there's no way to incorporate these tanks. It's very apparent that it is impossible to put these type of tanks against modern tanks in the game. So I hope this tank gives you some perspective on the game, or just on modern tanks in general, if they were to be in Blitz. So hope you enjoyed this video. This is StudMuffin 1986, and keep tanking.
It's too early to talk about the exact list of vehicles we'll implement into the game. You can see the first tier